The readout coming out of the White House talking about France as the U.S.'s oldest allies, and Joe Biden taking a stance there, calling Emmanuel Macron, who is now the fourth leader that Joe Biden has spoken to since having taken office, behind the leaders of Canada, Mexico, and the U.K. So Emmanuel Macron, the first one of the EU nations to speak to Joe Biden. And while both readouts seem to be agreeing on some of the key issues. You mentioned, of course, COVID-19 and how the world has to work together to fight that pandemic. There were some notable differences in the readouts of the two presidents. For example, on the U.S. side, the U.S. specifically mentions working in partnership with France on questions like NATO, like relationship to China, Russia, as well as the Sahel region that is very important to the French. The French readout does not mention those specifically. Meanwhile, the French readout, Emmanuel Macron's readout, specifically mentions one topic that could be a little bit more tricky between the two countries, is the question of the Iran nuclear deal. Of course, Donald Trump pulled out of their Iranian nuclear deal, and recently Joe Biden and the White House were questioned about how soon we could see possibly the U.S. moving towards returning to that Iran nuclear deal. And while the White House said that it would be working to work in line with that Iran nuclear deal, there wasn't a firm engagement from the United States to return there. So those small but key differences could be pointing to some of the work going ahead between the two countries.